So truthfully, I thought that's going to be the end of the class, but I'm still going to feel guilty if I don't go ahead and show you how to use function or the real mechanism behind function in JavaScript. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So where's the script? So these are the script that will code up. So I'll just comment all this guy, then permit me to push it below the screen and undo function with you. So what are function? So function is a mechanism that is in JavaScript for you to wrap up a piece of code to wrap it up within the function so that you can later use it during another section within your code. So how does a function work? Let's say we have a function, then we need to give the name of the function. So the name usually tells about what the function is doing. For example, let's say print hello. So probably that is just what the function is doing. There we can say okay, console.log hello, sorry, what's this, console.log hello Gabriel. So like that. So when we are doing some other things in our code, like I can have okay, time to greet Gabriel, then we can just go ahead and call our function and say okay, print hello. So by this way you are going to realize that JavaScript allows us to wrap a piece of code and later use it during another section within our code. So that is how we can reuse code. Instead of writing it again and again, we can just reuse it. We are just going to be reusing it whenever we need it instead of rewriting it. Let's refresh this. So you see we have hello Gabriel. And the most important part of function is parameter. So now this function automatically is printing out hello Gabriel. So what if we now have users that it is not only Gabriel that we have, we want to greet all the users. So time to greet all users, and because if you refresh this again, we want to greet all the user, but it's only Gabriel we are able to give, and that is where function parameter comes in place. So for function parameters really works like variable. They are like variables that allows you to use them within the function, so that when you are dealing with your code during the sequence of your code, you'll be able to use it whenever you call the code. So let's say we have a let user is equals to John now. So it's John that we want to greet, and obviously we need to write a mechanism that greets Johns, and that is where parameter comes in place. So a function of hello, then right here we are going to put users. So this is a parameter. So whenever we are calling this function is going to be expecting us to pass in a parameter, a variable like that. So instead of saying hello Gabriel, then we can just say okay, since hello is constant, then we can say plus user based on whatsoever that we put in there. While we are printing hello world, then we are going to put user. Now if I refresh it, you can see it's able to, let me put space here because that's important for now. So it's going to say hello John. So based on whatsoever user that we now have, if it is Gabriel again, it's going to print to us and tell us hello Gabriel. So if it is Mike, it's going to tell us like that. And that is how functions and parameters work. So you can have more than one parameter. What if you want to say we want to actually, maybe user also want to send us message too, so we can add another parameter named message, and when the user is coming, you can say okay, let's message. So message from the mic is equals to hello, okay, hi, sorry, I dev, which is for developer, and there we can say I am plus so space then user. So this is going to print I am Mark, like that. So let's just go ahead and pass in their message. So right here we can now say okay, console.log. So I'm just going to wrap a mechanism that say message from user. Then last we can just going to say we can print the message now. So look at what we're doing. If I refresh this, you can say hello Mike, the message from the user. So instead of putting user right here, we can still put Mike like that, and that is where you can see that it is very very important for us to understand the basic architect behind behind the use of a function. Let's do this. So it's a message from Mike. I dev, I am Mike. So like that. So it's just like within this code. So probably for us, we want to do something like this, and we really want to, maybe in every section of our code, we want to be doing it, and doing it. So this is a quick way for us to use function and function parameter. So some people likes to call it argument. So there is difference between a parameter and an argument. So let me just explain now. When you are creating the function, you ask for a parameter. So you need some a parameter to put in, and when you are calling the function, you ask the user for the programmer or the user, anybody gives the argument. So this is the difference between the parameter and argument. If I'm not really replacing it by any means, if I'm not putting it in a vice versa way, I think I should get it right. So that is how it should be. So you can be, so most of the time you see some programmers online, probably you go ahead and browse YouTube for more videos, tutorials on this, on JavaScript. They use parameter instead of function, or function instead of parameter, and it is because most of us, we are confused which one to use. Then we feel really really cool to use any of this word in any scenario that we want to utilize them and make use of them. So that's that about function. So how about we create a function that has a function? So this is where things get handy. So inside a function, we can always go ahead and have another function. So now right now, let's say create a function, and that one is going to say goodbye. So on this function, we just want to, okay, console.log bye like that. So bye bye, and if I refresh this, the bye bye message or the say goodbye function is not going to call itself until we decide to call it right within this function. So if you are actually smart enough now, you are going to realize that this function is looking like our small script, and this outside of a function is looking like our big script. And that is where things actually get in handy for you to use, because you cannot say goodbye, you cannot call say goodbye here, and JavaScript is going to throw an error to us that say goodbye is not defined, because we are trying to call a local, and this is where scope comes in. If you ever see scopes in W3 school, this is what they mean as scope. So say goodbye belongs to a local scope. So this is a local scope. Any variable or function within a function is called a local variable or a local function, and it is only accessible inside the function. So we can say goodbye like that. So and you can say finally, after printing, we say bye bye, then you say bye bye to the user right from here. So this is how you really need to get to know, understand the architecture. So what if you really want to make this function to be accessible outside, and that is where the global keyword comes in play. So you can use global, so say goodbye, global say goodbye, and right here, instead of actually treating it as a function here, you're just going to go ahead and grab up this say goodbye and turn it into a variable. So say goodbye is equals to this. Then if you stop calling it right from here, then you be like, okay, now say goodbye, and it's still not going to work, because right before this should be work, we're supposed to call the function before we can call say goodbye. Let me refresh this. So we have an error, say unexpected identifier, but if you go ahead and call it right after or immediately that we have called the print function, then we should be able to get it right. What's up? Global of say goodbye says say goodbyes, then say goodbye is equals to function equals to bye bye. What's up? It's error identifier. Let me see. So I'm having national error. So I think is we is the issue with this global of say goodbye. That is, I think that is why it's showing me some. Okay, we oh my god, I'm missing up Python with JavaScript. That, I think that is the common issue problem that we programmers actually face when we go ahead and learn too much of programming language. So we begin to mix up the syntax. It is very simple for you to just say let's say goodbye. So this is automatically a global variable when we have already put it uh, in the main script. So this is a function right here which is local. So outside of the function is called global. So when we have put this right, let's say goodbye, so it is global already like that. So automatically JavaScript turns into global. So let's say the first example that I made, if I'm right or I'm lying, we'll see. So say goodbye, we call it before we call the function, and it's going to say it's not a function. So say goodbye is not a function, can you see now? But if we try to call it after that we have called the print hello, you can see it now works and say bye bye. So it now works and say bye bye. So we are able to grab say goodbye um outside of the function. So it's not really outside of the function, it's just because we define it and it is not defined by default. So not until we call something that do something on it, so we call the print hello world that do something on it and is able to turn it into function, then we call it up like that. So that is how it really works. And even we ourselves, we can design to say okay, say goodbye is equals to bye bye. And right here, if you do console.log say goodbye, so say goodbye, it's going to work. Yeah, so it say bye bye right before it's going to finally say the final bye bye. Hello, it say bye bye, say hello like that. So this is not really good. I just want to show you that say goodbye is manipulatable both in the local scope and global scope. So that's where you are. So why is this useful? So let's say another scenario is that you want to create a function. So that's sum two values. So we have x, we have y comma y. Then we want the function to return. So if you have ever learned about return statement, so I'm using the return now to let you know that when you want a function to return a value to you, you use the return statement. So so it's returned this. So let's just check this in real life in some issues. So you normally, if you want to, let's say sum, okay, if you want to sum a variable, you need to be saying let x equals to 10 f20 and let y equals to 30. Then you have to say let z, or the result of them, it's equals to x plus y. And sorry, it's not x equals to x plus y. Then finally you have to be doing console.log or the window, the document, the result. So this is really stressful when you have a lot of things to do in your code. Probably in another place you still have to do some. So to actually do this and cut it off, it is simple for you to just call sum. So let result now is equals to now. So you're just going to call sum. Then you can put the value that you want to sum, which is 3 plus 10, which is obviously 13. Then we can say console.log the results to us. Simple as that. So if you refresh this, we have 13 already here, which this guy really passed to us right here. So whenever we now want to do another sum, we can say let results. So I'm going to call results 1 equals to sum of another number like 20 comma 40 or 50, anything. So let's just do console.log the log results 1, and it's still going to work. So we just need to continue like that and it's going to work. So if you feel like even for you to keep it in the result is stressful, you can just go ahead and remove the return statement and console.log x plus y. It's still going to work, or do anything you want to do. But I think this is really okay. So this is all you need to know about the function. So let's just quick in a sec, because my battery is going down right now. In a sec, talk about the arrow function. So if I want to talk about the arrow function, truthfully I wouldn't really write another code. I'm just going to turn this to arrow function. So equals to then arrow right here. I'm ready to turn everything into an arrow function, obviously. So you see that there is no really the difference. Everything is still going to work fine. I think those are the two functions that we have. Okay, this is another one right here. And let's refresh this. So you say we have an error, sum is not defined. Okay, so we need to say let sum now. So as it's going to work. Unexpected identifier, let sum is equal to not this. Let sum equals to then like that. Okay, good. So everything is working now. So what I just do is that I just quickly use a method to convert the regular function I use into an arrow function to see that everything is still going to work. So just take your time to blend this, understand it, and this is all you need to understand about function. All right, thank you. See you in the next tutorial.